Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Police responded to a 911 call.
Dramatic video of gun insanity in the Bronx.
Police releasing a new video of a person that they are still trying to track down.
Defund the police is not the answer.
Many people surveyed said they just don't feel safe in the city.
It's a shooting outside of a store.
This is Bo Dietl's One Tough Podcast.
Police this morning are searching for the person who turned this Harlem platform to a crime scene.
A Red Apple Media Podcast Network production. Now, here's Bo Dietl.
Welcome back to Bo Dietl's One Tough Podcast. Let me be very clear right now from the start. New York didn't fall apart. It was driven into the ground. And what we're dealing with right now in this city, this state, is not bad luck, not timing, not a COVID hangover excuse. It's bad leadership, reckless spending, a total denial of reality. And today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what we got here, who lit the fuse, and what New York is going to look like if this keeps going. This starts with New York City. It starts with my friend, my ex-friend, Eric Adams. Adams didn't inherit a perfect city, but he inherited a city that was still functioning. And instead of stabilizing it, he blew it apart. Adams ran as a former cop. Law and order, competence, fiscal responsibility. And what did he actually get? Confusion, incompetence, and the biggest single self-inflicted financial wound this city has ever seen. How about the migrant crisis? The migrant response. Let's call it what it is. Eric Adams was at the buses inviting the chaos into our city, into our sanctuary city. That's now a bill that was almost $7 billion of migrant disaster under Eric Adams. New York City spent over $7 billion on housing services, hotels, security, food, healthcare, you name it, $7 billion. And here's what New York needs to understand. There was no long-term plan, no federal guarantee for reimbursement to the city, no existing strategy. And worse, there was no proper procurement process, no competitive RFPs, no transparent bidding. Everything was rushed through with all his people around him and all his underbosses there. And they pushed it through as it was an emergency. It was an emergency. So what did that look like in dollars? How about the Roosevelt Hotel? $12 million a week. I know one thing. Half the bathrooms didn't work in that hotel. That was a condemned building. $12 million every week. Unarmed security guards paid $119 an hour. Nope, they didn't get paid $119. The billing was $119. Not specialists, not tactical units, unarmed guards. And then we learned that a Texas-based company involved in this whole operation was allegedly getting a 20%. They call it a consultant fee. It was a kickback, 20%. It all happened with Eric Adams being the mayor there. And then he kept it a sanctuary city and refused to cooperate with ICE. Let that sink in. The city was spending billions housing and servicing immigrants while refusing to work with federal immigration enforcement to manage the flow, reduce repeat encounters, or bring any order to the system. So the pipeline stayed open. The costs kept climbing, and New York's kept paying. Hotels were converted overnight. Shelters were pushed past capacity. City agencies were overwhelmed. And while Eric Adams was busy playing press conference politics, going out every friggin' night, the budget quietly imploded. That $7 billion didn't come from nowhere. It came straight out of police budgets, sanitation services, education infrastructure, and future capital planning. This wasn't compassion. This was fiscal malpractice and the real criminal theft. This was a theft. And once the money was burned, the damage was permanent. That's the final hole this fool Zohan Mandami is now inheriting. Now step up to the wreckage. Zohan Mandami, whatever you want to call, he complains on affordability. He campaigns on justice. He campaigns on slogans. But he's walking into a city that's already drowning. And instead of changing course, Mandami is doubling down. He has made it clear he will keep New York City a sanctuary city. Again, refusing with ICE to cooperate with ICE and turn over these criminal immigrants that are committing crimes, even when it comes to criminal aliens who have already been arrested. Let that sink in. The city arrests them. The city houses them, the city pays for them, and then the city releases them with no bail and then refuses to turn them over to federal authorities who are legally responsible for removal. So the cycle continues. The costs keep rising, and the burden stays on New York taxpayers. All the while, the city's finances are collapsing. New York City is now starting at a $2.2 billion deficit right now this year. 2.2, we're down. A $10.4 billion next year. $12 billion over the next 2 years. Those numbers came from city controller, a Democrat, who compared the outlook to 2008. And what does Mandami offer in response? Tax the rich. That's it. No spending cuts, no restructuring, no accountability, no cooperation with federal enforcement to control costs. Just the same that word, I can't even say that word, but you know what it is. It's the same bullshit playbook that they already emptied the room. And here's something that New Yorkers need to hear. This isn't just bad policy. It's bad personnel. Because when you look at Zohan Mandami, who he's appointing, you realize this is not going to change at all. It's the return of Big Bird de Blasio administration. Elena Leopold, senior advisor to Biagio. Big Bird, now running Mandami's transition team. Dean Fuller, de Blasio's former first deputy mayor, back again inside City Hall. Stephen Banks, de Blasio's homeless czar, now serving as Mandami's corporation counsel. Maria Torres Springer, senior policy official under de Blasio, co-chairing Mandami's transition. Melanie Herzog, another veteran of the de Blasio city government, is now serving as co-chair of Mandami's transition team. Simonia Brown works in Albany to help deliver the Mandami's affordable agenda. She was the associate director of de Blasio's Office of Management and Budget. You people don't realize this budget has to balance. It ain't balancing. She's a former administrative official who worked under de Blasio's transition team, co-chairman of the Mandami, Monica Klein, appointed senior advisor for communication in Mandami's administration. She previously served as deputy secretary under Big Bird Bill de Blasio. And Sharif Solomon, appointed in Mandami's administration. He previously served under de Blasio as commissioner, Department of Finance. It keeps going on and on. Long-time union operative who also worked with de Blasio in the Department of Education and now is the deputy chief of staff. All part of Mandami's administrative team. These are all veterans of the most expensive and least accountable mayoral administration in modern New York City history. Let me remind you that what that era gave us: record homelessness, exploding budgets, businesses all leaving, public safety, anti-police, and a city working family that could no longer afford. And now, with a $12 billion deficit, less federal support, and with sanctuary policy that refuses to cooperate with ICE, Mandami is bringing back the very people who created this mess. This isn't reform. This is institutional memory of failure. And there's another hypocrisy. New York should know all about it. According to the New York Times, not a single one of Zohar Mandami's deputy mayors is black. What's about it? He don't like black people? Not one. This form a mayor who carried majority black precincts across this city, and they ran on this equity, inclusion, and all this bullshit. He asked for those votes. He got those votes, and then he shut the door. None of my black brothers are even in his administration. So when you hear speeches about justice and fairness, remember this: the inner circle tells the truth, not the slogans. And then there's Mandami chooses to his advise on crime. Let's check this one out. Tamika Mallory, whatever her name is, longtime activist, openly said she didn't care if the protesters burned Target down to the ground. She's now involved with public safety. Her words, not mine. She said, don't talk to us about looting. America looted black people. America looted Native Americans. So looting is what we do here in America. We learned violence from you. And that's who Mandami brought in to help shape public safety policy. I have to laugh. And then when the backlash came, she didn't get the official title, but the message was already sent. Her mind was already endorsed. The same goes for Mandami's chief of equity officer, Dafa Ugatsu Atiya Masaka. I don't even want to say these names, okay? Now her deleted social media posts included this, check this out, attacks on liberal white women and tax them to the white meat. Go after the white meat. This is who's influencing policy? No problem solvers, activists who have seen division, and they love this division. He put this other psychopath, Sia Weaver, in charge of the office to protect tenants. This is someone who has openly called for the city to seize private property and describe homeowners as white supremacies. These are people who own these buildings. And now that's not housing policy. That's ideology. And then there's Kumar Samuels, chosen as school chancellor, a man who wants to eliminate gifted and talented programs, who prioritizes so-called equity over excellence. In plain English, they're lowering the standards of our kids. That's why kids in our school can't pass reading and math tests. This is a downfall for us. For the fire department, Mandami picked Lillian Beaugenet, whatever it is. I think it's a transformer, an EMS veteran with no experience running the fire department to lead it. And okay, she's a transformer when he's transient, whatever that's called. I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but we picked her, and she's in there. Now she's running the largest fire department in the world. And I'm telling you something. Now we have new bike lanes. I go outside, try to park my car. You can't park the car nowhere. You got bike lanes, bus lanes, and they want more and more. Look at McGinnis Boulevard. Without regard for traffic flow, safety, bikes, lanes, they're coming 50 miles an hour. No one's dealing with this. This is what ideology looks like when it replaces competence. And now we're seeing the consequences of these appointments. Play it out in real time. Early stress tests between New York City Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who I know, and Mayor Mandami have already exposed dangerous divides. The NYPD officers shot and stopped a mentally ill man who posed an intimate threat inside Methodist Hospital in Brooklyn. Commissioner Tisch said the officers saved lives. Mandami's response? Silence. Instead, he pushed his so-called Department of Community Safety arguing that mental health 911 calls should be handled without the police. So just imagine this. There's a guy who's crazy with a big knife. Now they're going to send these people in there unarmed, and they're going to talk to them. Well, did your daddy beat you when you were little? This is idiocy. That's a nut. This is crazy. This is what Mamdani wants to do. At the same time, Mamdani stood silent as Commissioner Tisch defended the NYPD gang database, a critical tool used to track down violent offenders. Last week, Mamdani even tried and failed to force Commissioner Tisch to report directly to one of these liberal pieces of garbage instead of reporting him. Yeah, I can see how that transition would happen. They want to take over the CCRB, so a cop gets in trouble, we're going to talk to one of these liberal people, and they're going to make the decision against the cop. And then came one of his official acts. Mamdani revoked Executive Order 50, which allowed federal agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security, to monitor Venezuelan gang members inside the city jails. Let that sink in. At the same time, he refuses to cooperate with ICE. He strips the federal law enforcement of the ability to track dangerous gang activity inside our own correction facility. This is not reform. This is deliberate dismantling of public safety. So here where the lies collapse. Mamdani promises frozen rents, but property taxes are already going up. The city just released the new assessment rolls. Property values jumped from 6.2 citywide to 11.1 in Brooklyn. Taxes are rising, and not because the rates changed, but because valuations exploded. Landlords are getting crushed. Higher taxes, higher insurance, higher labor costs, higher energy costs. And guess what? The cost never disappears. It gets passed on. Market rate tenants pay more. Homeowners pay more. Small landlords are told, and they're leaving. So the fantasy is this: freeze rents, raise costs, and prevent the math, and it doesn't exist. It's not going to exist. That's delusion. Leadership is one thing you need to empower. You have to have good leadership. And Mamdani's inner circle tells you everything. Advisor with social media history calling for seizing private property, reduction in modding, treating home ownership as oppression. When confronted publicly, Mamdani says, I refuse to condemn any of it. He dodged. He said, he just rambles on. He tells you one thing, and this isn't accidental. He's aligned, and he doesn't stop inside City Hall. Now we're watching the same ideology expand outward into elections. The courts, coordinated pressure campaigns. Democrats are using the courts to defeat Congresswoman Nicole Malatakis, her new congressional map. Now they're trying to target her position so they can bring in some more of the people they want. They went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court came back and said they can redistrict her congressional district. That's not democracy. That's lawfare. Lawfare. The same time the New York Times reports that Frank Carone, I know him. A long time, that was the mayor, wait a second, that was Mayor Eric Adams' chief of staff. Oh, that guy. Okay, long time Democratic power broker and lobbyist is under federal investigation. What took you so long? They won't say for what, but it tells you something about what's going on in the New York politics right now. And then there's Mamdani, who just brought inside City Hall Wahid Shahid, a radical economic justice activist, is now the deputy communication director for economic justice. He was the communication director for Justice Democrats, an advisor to AOC and that other creep there, Jamal Bowman, a leader in the 2024 presidential race. This isn't neutral government. This is idealistic messaging embedding inside government. And outside City Hall, the pressure campaign continues. Guess who's back. Linda Sassar, funded by Soros-linked nonprofits, is openly organizing protests and calling for a general strike in New York City. Her words, she wants to bring this country to a halt. This is what she wants to do. She wants to destroy America. This is the same activist network that wants to abolish ICE and more and more go after the police, paralyze cities through disruption. This isn't a coincidence. It's a condition, and there's something even more concerning. Mandami has brought the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, the whole campaign machine into New York City, into City Hall, in a new office called the Office of Mass Engagement. Wow, these names. The office is being run by Tashika Vivendi, whatever the hell her name is, a longtime DSA organizer, progressive campaign operator. This office isn't about civic engagement. It's about using taxpayer money to organize political pressure campaigns, working alongside of Mandami's PAC, Our Time, to take over community boards, PTAs, and police precinct councils, and not governing. That's turning City Hall into a permanent campaign headquarters. And then national television. Mandami goes on The View and calls for abolishing ICE. He says ICE doesn't do anything for public safety. He says deportation enforcement would rip the city apart. Bullshit. And I'm sorry for cursing. He doubles down on sanctuary policies, even if the federal funding is cut. Let me explain something. When you take down law enforcement, they just don't change policy. They change behavior. So we're seeing this culture play out. And when Mandami talks about law enforcement, he publicly defended Malio Corral, whatever his creep, in the face of deportation. This is a guy who is a criminal, illegal in this country. He has repeatedly characterized a fatal shooting by an ICE agent as murder before the investigations were completed. That kind of language matters. It fuels hostility. It encourages confrontation, and it puts law enforcement officers at risk. This isn't dissent. This is institutionalized antagonism toward law enforcement and the rule of law. And we're already seeing it. In Minnesota, anti-ICE activists stormed the church during a Sunday service. Families were praying, children were crying. The protest was live streamed. One of the organizers compared disrupting worship is what Jesus would have done. Let that sink in. And now the Department of Justice is stepping in. This is what happens when activism becomes entitlement and law enforcement becomes the enemy. New York is next, and we're going into it. You're listening to Bo Dietl's One Tough Podcast. Please stay tuned with this message, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
If you're thinking about changing schools, why wait? At Manhattan University, love those guys. You don't have to start over. With transfer-friendly pathways, your credits count, and you keep moving forward. From day one, you're part of Jasper Nation, preparing for the real world. And with New York City just a train away, opportunity is everywhere. Ready to move forward without missing a step? Visit manhattan.edu/transfer and enroll today. Manhattan University. Don't start over, move forward.
Now let's talk about Governor Snaggletooth Kathy Hochul. Just proposed a $260 billion budget, a record spending again. Federal funding down $10.3 billion. She claims she could make up $18 billion without raising taxes. Let me see you do that. Nobody believes that. And New York State's Medicaid spending, with all the fraud that's in there, is up 11.4%. Now it's nearly $49 billion, and it covers 1/3 of all New Yorkers. New York spends more Medicaid on every recipient than every state in America. And now let's talk about next fantasy. Universal health care. Mandami claims it will cost about $3 billion, but state controller Tom DiNapoli, who's a Democrat, said the real number could be $8 billion a year. $8 billion at a time when the city's facing $12 billion in deficit. The state is starting at a $40 billion shortfall over the next 4 years. We're told there's no money for police overtime, infrastructure repairs, public safety staffing, but somehow there's unlimited money for new entitlement programs and for where, hey, wait a second, Mondami, where the hell are the free buses? Remember that one? We can't pay cops overtime anymore because you don't have the money, but we can promise free child care for people who entered this country illegally. That's not compassion. It's chaos. Budgeting. Education. I love education. New York City spends $34,000 per student. Miami-Dade, Florida, spends $12,000, and they have a better reading and math outcome. Where is the money going? That's the question Snaggletooth Hochul refuses to answer. Now let's compare reality. New York, $260 billion budget. We have 19.9 million people. State income tax in New York City is 11%. Add another 4%. They're not paying for New York City. Energy costs 20 cents per kilowatt hour. Florida now, $115 billion budget. Total, 24.3 million people. No state income tax, low energy costs, growing population. This isn't politics. This is arithmetic. Florida governs. New York spends. 500,000 people have left New York. How about the New York Stock Exchange is going to Dallas, Texas. People, don't you see what's going on? Businesses are gone. Capital's gone. Families are gone. Why? Taxes, housing, energy, bureaucracy. New York City employs 364,000 government workers. I guarantee if I asked anyone to fill out a one-pager, what do you do? It would be duh. Florida state workforce, there are 82,000 for the whole state. There are 360,000. And then we have more of a less level of population of Florida, and they only have 82,000. This system feeds itself. There's nothing left to feed on. So here's the future. Unless something changes, a city where essential services are depleted, only the wealthy and the subsidized survive. The middle class disappears. Small landlords vanish. Public safety erodes. Taxes keep climbing. A state where budget outgrows the shrink and the accountability dies, and it's not sustainable. This is not compassion. It's the collapse. We better be branding. It's no more bullshit. New Yorkers are stupid. We know when we're being lied to. We know when the numbers just don't add up. Eric Adams lit the fuse with $7 billion of chaos. Mondami promises gasoline, free gasoline. Hochul is pretending the fire isn't real. This didn't have to happen. But unless leadership changes, this is only the beginning. That's the truth. That's the state of our city and the state of our state. And let me tell you something. All I know, unless the leadership changes, this is going to be the end of it. And you know what? What's going on with the Homeland Security, with the shooting, people have to understand there's an organized effort. There's a Chinese guy, I don't know if I can say Chinese. Okay, let me say Asian. There's a Chinese Asian guy who's funneling millions of dollars into these disruption. These demonstrations you see, the FBI is fully investigating them. This ain't just a happenstance. These are organized. And that punk Soros with this other Chinese guy are leading these, sending finances. What this is all about is the erosion and the destruction of the United States of America. And this is what's happened. I, in my whole life, would never believe the greatest city in the world would elect this little boy who couldn't run a lemonade stand, and now you give him the keys. That's like giving my 5-year-old daughter the keys to my car and tell my granddaughter, and tell her to drive my car. This is a little immature fool that's running the greatest city in New York. And what does he do? He brings the biggest fools around him, and this is what we're facing. I'm sorry if I get really emotional about it. I love New York City. I was born here. I shed my blood here. I was a decoy once, where I was mugged over 500 times, hospitalized 30 times, protecting people in this city. my children, my grandchildren, and I live in New York City, and I'm really frightened. And unless this changes, unless something can happen, this city is going to go down, down, down. And I tell you people about my podcast. Everybody, please, this is probably one of the most important podcasts that I did, and it's important stuff that I said. Until next week, thank you for tuning in, and please let people know about Bo Dietl's One Tough Podcast. Thank you, and see you next week.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.